episode, I'll be talking about men who tries to speed up courtship ruin seduction. So I do these YouTube lives every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys do find this video content of value, please, feel free to share with your friends, hit the like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think about it. But anyways, let's continue on with a recap episode of lead the relationship, but let her pace it. So all my recap episodes are in relation with what I'm going to be talking about today. And so lead the relationship, but let her pace it. And the slide is if it's her idea, you will never get turned down. And so first bullet point, when a door opens, all you have to do is walk through it. All you have to do is walk through it. It's going to be pretty obvious, number one, if she likes you, because the first you won't be confused. You will not be confused. If she likes you, she's going to be around you more. She's going to ask you questions about yourself. So she's going to try to get to know you. Now, you're looking for someone with high levels of enthusiasm. Now, you have to understand that in the beginning, maybe the enthusiasm isn't fully there yet. And that's understandable. That person doesn't know you. They don't understand you. So you gotta ask questions. You gotta get to know each other. So, so someone who's willing to jump. So you're looking for somebody who's willing to jump fences with you, not a person that stays on the fence. Now, most men try to force things and project their feelings onto her before she's ready. And when that happens, when a guy tries to force or try to project his feelings onto her before she's ready, what she's going to feel like is like, wow, like I'm not ready for this. Why are you telling me all this? And it's going to basically push her away. And to her, what it feels like is it feels like you're forcing her. You're forcing this trap. You're like you're trying to trap her, and like I know that is not your intention. But just by saying things like that, because you're projecting how you feel, she's going to take it like that. Now, this will cause her to back away because it is not her idea. And until it becomes her idea, all you have to do is take a step back and let her wonder about you a little bit more. Now, the question goes, it's like, well, but Mitchell, what if she doesn't wonder about me? And if she doesn't wonder about you, chances are she is probably not that into you, or you displayed a lot of unattractive behaviors that caused her to kind of back away. Now, women need time and space away from you to think about you. This is how she builds her interest for you. She will be thinking about you, talking about you with her friends, her girlfriends, and this is at her pace. Not yours. It's at her pace and not yours. When a man forces things like this, or like try to force an interaction, it will cause her to back away. Now, if you think about it, we're pretty brainwashed with this whole idea, especially in media, thinking that the guy has to do something. The guy I need to win her back type of mentality. If I stalk her, if I chase her, if I chase her down to the airport, etc., she will eventually realize that I'm this guy, I'm such a good guy, right? AKA all this being done is called the illusion of action. All right. Now let's talk about the approach. The approach. When a guy sees a woman he finds attractive, he should, number one, be unapologetically go up to her and tell her exactly what he's thinking. But there's a way to do it. There's a specific way on how to do things. And number one thing is confidence. You want to go up there and you want to just talk to her. You be like, hey, I saw you from over there. Topic is so relatable today. It's always relatable, Jordan. Yeah. So anyways, I've said this a million times. You've probably seen it a lot on social media, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, whatever, you name it. You see guys just randomly walk up to women and just be like, hey, I saw you from over there. I had to come over to say hi. I think you're absolutely stunning. Now, like, what's your name? What is your name? And all you have to do is wait and listen to her name. And if she's more interested in you, if she's interested in you, she will ask you for your name. So my advice is to never forfeit your name and have her ask you, because if she doesn't really care about you, she's not going to even want to ask you for your name. That way, that happens way too often. It'd be creepy sometimes though. But there's a way to approach it. If I thought she was pretty and I thought she was gorgeous, it'd be like, hey, I had to come over and say hi. I thought you were absolutely stunning. I just want to get to know you. Like, what's your name? That would be different. Now, but if I walked over, I'm like, oh my God, hey, I'm breathing out hard. I'm struggling. Look, even if you're nervous, admit it. You'd be like, damn, I am 100%. I'm like, my hands are sweating. I'm so nervous right now, but you know, I've never done this before. But yeah, yeah. What's your name? Like, at least she will be like, damn, like that's courage. At least he's trying, right? Look, you got to respect that. You would respect a man even if he's like fucking up, he's stumbling his words. You will respect him because he tried. He tried. It shows courage, shows a little bit confident. Maybe he could do a little bit better, but you know what? With repetition, that's how it becomes better. Now, so wait for her to ask for your name. If she's interested, she will talk to you. If she isn't, she will turn her body away. You know, it's your sign to kind of look for indicators of interest, or maybe she would just outright decline you, or maybe she would just lie, or not. But most women, they'd be like, "Oh, I have a boyfriend. Oh, I have a boyfriend." Yeah, and then you just be like, well, he's a lucky guy. Thank you for your time, and just walk away. And that's it. That's all you have to do, right? Because the number one most attractive thing to any woman is confidence. Because it is a man's job to approach. It shows that you have confidence. It shows that you're willing to take risk. It shows you have courage, that you go for what you want. And in the back of her mind, it will show that you have, number one, you have direction. And you have the ability to lead. If you can lead, you can protect. At least that's what she's thinking. After you get her number, you want to set up dates. You want to set up dates, not right there and then. I mean, maybe you can. Or you can even do an instant date. Has anybody in here ever done an instant date? Because it could be really easy and it could be really simple. Because this is guy on social media. His name is Tristan. He does it really, really well. He just goes to random people and be like, he'll be in the streets. And I don't know how he's recording. Maybe he has like his glasses are recording. I don't know. But he just records these videos. And he goes up to like random women in the street. He'd be like, "Hey, Dad, like, wow, like you're really pretty." He's like, "Hey, what's your name?" And then she goes, "Oh, my name is blah blah blah. What's up, Tracy?" And then, he does it a little bit differently. He's like, "Oh, my name's Tristan. Like, where are you from? Are you from around here?" And then so they would like exchange, whatever, right? And then he'd be like, "Hey, like, what are you doing now?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna meet up some friends or whatever." He'd be like, "Well, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm going to go get coffee. Do you like coffee?" And she'd be like, yeah, I like coffee." And he goes like, yeah, like, well, if you're down, like, let's go get some coffee. But he does it so effortlessly, and it's easier to see it in person, or how he does it in person. But I feel like that approach to what he does really works out for him. It really does. So, but what he's doing is, when he's displaying that type of behavior, he is showing that he has a lot of confidence. He must hypnotize. No, he does it really well. I could send you, Jordan, I could send you like a link so that you can see how well he does it. But anyways, it shows that you're willing to take risks, And it shows that you have courage, that you go for what you want. Because in the back of mind, you have the ability to have direction, ability to lead. And if you can lead, you can protect. But like what I said is, after you get a number, you want to set up dates and give her the opportunity to show you her interests. You want to give her that opportunity to show her interest in you. Because what happens is, if a guy gets kind of like what we call like hypnotized, or this kind of whole halo effect, like, oh my God, this girl, she's so pretty, I want to get to know her, I want to take her out, I need to lock her down. And that's why when guys that speed up this courtship, it ruins the whole attraction and seduction, because she's not even ready yet. And so the whole idea is to be slightly slower than she is. Just move slightly slower than she is. And I will explain that in a little bit more on my other slides. But so you want to set up dates, and you want to do it at least once a week. You want to give her the opportunity to contact you. Because most guys, what's going to happen is, when they go on dates, he's going to want to set up a date right there and then at the end. You'd be like, wow, this is such a great, I'm having such a good time. When's the next time you're free? And that already kind of pushes her away. Didn't you just feel that? Did you just feel that, right? Especially when he's out on a date already with you, like, she needs time and space away from you to think about you and feel your strength by your inaction. What sounds adorable? That asking for a date right there and then. And it depends on the level of interest that you have on that person. Because if you don't really like that guy that much, but he feels like he's having a great time with you, what's going to end up happening is it's going to push you away even more. And that's what you want to avoid as a guy. So, so when guys over pursue, it gives the impression that, number one, you don't really have that much going on for your life. You're focusing on locking her down before it becomes her idea. She feels like she will lose her freedom. And as a guy, you should always be working on yourself. I'll just agree so he would leave you alone. Yeah, and that's what that's what happens to a lot of guys out there. So when a guy gets a number, sometimes he's like, oh my God, I got her number, like I'm in. No, that you're not in yet. Because a lot of girls, what ends up happening is when she gives her number away, she wants to be like, okay, I'm just gonna give my number, but I would never respond back to him. I'm just gonna give my number because, number one, you want to worry, you're worried about your safety, because chances are most guys don't know how to deal with rejection. They don't. And so when they don't know how to deal with rejection and they don't get what they want, they get bitchy, they get annoyed, and you're trying to avoid all that confrontation. And so it's easier to just, here's my number, I just won't ever contact you ever again. And to a point where you might even give your fake number, but at some point they might call you right there and then just to see if it's real. And so that's another sign of, you should never call her right there and then. You should never text her and be like, oh, I'm gonna give you my number. Be like, no, like, hey, after you get her number, you be like, I'm gonna give you a text later, so you know that it is me or whatever, right? Just be silly about it. I'm gonna send you a picture of a toe so you know it's me, right? Be like, a toe, yeah, a toe. So, no, fuck around. Be playful and fun about it. I've heard people say, I'm gonna send you a picture of my nipple. Okay? Damn. But they don't care. They're just having fun. So, anyways, yeah, number one, she does not want to feel like she's going to lose her freedom. And as a guy, you should always be constantly working on yourself every single day, right? That's what leaders do. Hope there's something. Hope so too. Now, and that's what leaders do. So you're constantly building your value as a person. Your approach to this isn't to make her, isn't you're not supposed to make her feel like she's less than you, but to show her that you're a person that other people find valuable. That's what it really is at the end of the day. Is you want to build yourself to a point where you're valuable not only to yourself, but you know that other people value you, your time, your energy, your effort. And that's why you always want to be in places where you're celebrated, not where you're being tolerated. Hello. Now, every woman wants to be with a man that knows he deserves her. That's ultimately what it is. Because at the end of the day, no woman wants to be with a man who doesn't feel like he does not deserve her. Imagine you're with this guy and he feels like, "Oh my God, you're too good for me. I don't deserve you. But I'm with you, but I don't deserve you." Because what's going to happen is all your actions after that is going to be displayed by scarcity. You're like, "Oh my God, I don't want to do things to bother her. I don't want to make her mad." So you're pleasing her. You're putting her on a pedestal. It's like she doesn't want any of that. I'm not saying that you need to be an asshole to her. You should never ignore her. You should never try to play games with her. But the whole idea is, well, it's like, well, if she doesn't want to be around you, that's okay, because other people will want my time, because I find myself valuable. And so other people will eventually come into my life if you don't want to be a part of that. And that's the type of mindset that you want. Now, second slide is haste makes waste. Haste makes waste. And like I said before, the whole idea is to go slightly slower than she is. That way, it will always, number one, be her idea. You won't get rejected, and she will be willing to want to push the courtship to the next level because it is her idea. And you're just going slightly slower than she is. It doesn't mean that you follow her. That's not what I'm saying. You're not following her, but it's to go slightly slower than she is. So what I mean by that is, if she's walking next to you and if she's giving you indicators of interest, maybe she's playing with her hair, maybe she's grooming herself, maybe you're having dinner and she excused herself to go use the restroom, but notice certain things. Maybe she started fixing her hair a little bit more. Maybe she put on a little bit more lip gloss, more like lip gloss or lip balm, or she does something. Like, these are signs that, hey, you know what, she wants to be presentable in front of you, because that's preening. So now, like I said, always be slightly slower than she is, okay? That way it will always be her idea. And if it's her idea, you won't get rejected. You won't get rejected. And she will be willing to want to push it to the next level. So how you're looking for indicators of interest, and so you can escalate onto the next level, okay? If she's walking next to you, bumping into you, that's another sign too as well, that she's giving you signals that hand-holding is okay if she's bumping into your hands. A woman that doesn't like you will not put herself close to you. Attraction grows through space, okay? Attraction grows through space. So if she's bumping into you and things like that, that's fine. Hold her hand. But when you're not seeing each other, when you're not talking to each other, right? Maybe the date ended. You want to make sure that she's okay. Did she get home safe? Let me know when you get home safe. Like, those are good things that, one, that's a gentleman like. You want to make sure she's safe, but you don't want to be overly protective. You want to make sure that she got home safe, and then you be like, okay, she could take care of herself now, right? And if she wants to contact you, she will. So attraction goes through space. When you go slightly slower than she is, it gives her time to wonder about you, to think about you, to miss you, to feel your strength as a dude, as a man. Because number one, you're also unpredictable, and it's your inaction that's going to show her your strength. It's your inaction by not doing certain things. And that's why when guys that over pursue, they're calling, texting, constantly trying to be on the phone with her, trying to see where she's at, how she's doing, it pushes her away, because what you think oh, you know, with social media, I need to do something in order to get her attention. That's called the illusion of action. And this whole illusion of action is going to cause her to back away. It's like, damn, I'm losing my freedom. And no girl ever wants to feel like she's losing her freedom. Or no woman, no lady will ever want to feel like she's losing her freedom. So it's your inaction, your you being unpredictable. So mysteriousness, right? Because when you have a great time, so let's just say a date ended, and you'd be like, hey, I had a great time on this date. And then so she goes home. Maybe you know, you drove and she drove. So she gets home. All you have to do is say, hey, you know, let me know when you get home safe. That's it. And when she texts you, she got home safe. Just say, great, you know, hey, you know, I have a great time tonight. Basically, and then basically have a good night. So, but because most men who feel like they're unworthy, okay, well, number one, like I said, will over pursue and chase her out of her liking him. So calling, texting, right, always being available. And there's nothing wrong with all being available. I'm not saying that you should always ignore her. Like, you should never ignore your girl or anybody. It's just, one is rude. But you don't always want to be so available, because number one, as the number one most important thing is as a guy, you should always focus on your purpose. You should always focus on your mission in life. And these are things that you're going to do no matter what. And these are things that's important to you. And if it's important to you, you will always focus back to it. And that's why guys that focus too much into the relationship, or, oh my God, I want to be with her, I want to do this. Or maybe you are in a relationship with her and you just, I got to give her all my time. I got to be available for her. And I knew this one friend, and I was like, yo, he was always available for her. He would drop her off, pick her back up. Great. You know, he's doing, on paper, he looks, it's like, oh my God, this boyfriend, he's great on paper. But what ended up happening was, I was like, yo, I feel like she can't even take a shit without you being around her, or like waiting on the outside to be this quote unquote protector. Like, dude, I think she'd be all right using it back. Like, go home. Stop waiting around for her. And he would literally go from class to class and bring her to the next class. And I'm like, why? He's like, because I want to make sure that she feels safe. I want to make sure that no other guys is, you know, trying to get her. I was like, yeah, you got to trust your girl. Like, trust her that she won't do anything. And this was the beginning too, where I didn't really know anything about understanding relationships. And I was like, yo, that feels like I couldn't figure out the word. I was like, dude, but now I know. I was like, yo, you're smothering the shit out of her. Like, she needs time and space away from you. And then guess what ended up happening? After being together for I don't know how many years, I think 5, 6, she picked up and left. She picked up everything and left. And I was like, yeah, it's because, and she did it when he was at work. And I was like, yeah, look, I saw it coming. I didn't know how to tell you. I've been trying to tell you, but you've been messing up. You've been messing up. And deep down, he felt like he was unworthy, right? Deep down, he feels like, oh, this is the woman of my dreams. I need to protect her. And this is exactly what he got after that. And then, well, you know, what I'm grateful for was at least he didn't turn into one of those guys that was upset and blame women for being X, Y, and Z. He continued to work on himself, which was great. But I mean, that's why you see a lot of guys that have been hurt, been traumatized with like being in this long-term relationship, and they're like, no, I'm going to be an asshole. And I was like, yo, that's still not the right way to approach it. Like, I get it, you fucked up, but take some responsibility and actually go back and see what kind of mistakes you made, so that you no longer make those mistakes and just become better. Right now, you're just bitter as shit. Like, that's not going to solve anything for you. So anyways, calling, texting, always being available, like that's That's where he was at, and that's exactly why she went away. But now she comes to you and says, hey, I need some help and whatever. It's like, it doesn't mean that you put everything down so that you could be there for her. Now, if it's an emergency, that's something that's totally different. But if it's not an emergency, it's okay. It's okay. You'd be like, hey, you know, I could do it X, Y, and Z time. So how do you expect to lead if you're always available? It's going to be difficult to lead. So that's why you want to create this time, this space, this distance for her to slowly fall in love with you at her pace. That way, it will always be her idea. 2 more slides. Now, let's just say you're in a relationship, okay? You're in a relationship, and, you know, let's face it, most relationship in heterosexual relationships are initiated by women. They're initiated by women. And no breakup is mutual. It's usually one-sided. It's usually. Unless it's kind of like, yeah, you know, I've been feeling the same way. That's totally different, right? But usually, most of the time, about 75% of all divorces are initiated by women. So, now that that's established, now that you're in this relationship, so if she wants to be the one that unilaterally breaks up the relationship, meaning she no longer wants to be with you, she will need to fix it. That's it. She will need to fix it. She will need to fix what she's done. And that's the only way to hold your position of leverage as a guy, to have some self-respect, so that, because I get so many guys that, you know, after she breaks up with him, he goes, oh my God, I want to get her back. And I'm like, yo, I get it. I know you want her back, but that's not the right mindset. You're already in the wrong mindset, because what happens when you do get her back? Nothing about you have changed. So she's only going to leave you eventually, again. And so the quickest way to get anybody else to change is change yourself. So when you change yourself, when you become a better, more valuable guy or valuable person, what ends up happening is, damn, she could be like, damn, like I'm starting to see some change into this person. Like, he wasn't like that 6 months ago. I don't know what happened. He doesn't call me anymore. He doesn't, you know, but he's not rude to me. He's actually like nice, and, you know, like, you're not bitter about the breakup. And she's contacting you, and all you have to do is just be like, hey, you know, if she's the one that broke up with you, she would need to initiate everything, 100% of the initiation. You can't do it no more. That's it. So she would need to fix what she's done. And your mindset needs to be, look, I'm open for her to convince me to get back into her life. That should always be your mindset. I'm open for her to convince me to go back to her life. But I'm not going to be that guy that courts her and dates her anymore. At least not until she basically shows me that, she shows me the level of effort, like, okay, she made a mistake. She made a mistake that she should have never left me. Because she was the one that unilaterally decided to end the relationship. It's her choice, you let her have it. Which means that because she was the one that left the relationship, basically what she's saying by her action is, she thinks she can do better. She thinks she can do better. If she can do better, great. Wish her the best. Wish her the best. The whole idea of this whole thing is to be the greatest version of yourself, right? And this is to build yourself up so that you become irresistible. Because women, number one, they do not dump men they're head over heels in love with. They don't dump men that they love and respect. They only dump men that they no longer respect and they no longer care about, no longer love. So after all, it is the woman that should do the pursuing. Okay, let me read that again. After all, it is the woman that should be doing the pursuing after you get with her. not the other way around. And the disclaimer is, if you get a group of women, right? If you get a group of women in a group and you ask them if they prefer to be chased, they will almost 100% of the time say yes. Like, I want my guy to pursue me, to chase me. But you have to understand that what a woman thinks and what she and what she says and what she responds to emotionally are completely different things. And what I mean by that is it is a fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are a little bit unclear. Quote by Coach Corey Wayne. It is a fact, because if you do 50% of the initiation and the pursuing as a guy, eventually she will be the one that backs away. It's like you're doing too much. So the good average is about 70. She does 70 to 80%. 70 to 80%. So, like I said, it is always better if she's the one that pursues you. It shows that she's committed to you. She's willing to invest her time and energy, and ultimately it shows how much she respects you, and you can't have love without respect. Okay. I'm not gonna get into anything political over here, so if you don't have anything else to say, I'm not gonna respond to that. All right. Your mindset. This is your mindset as a guy. Okay, as a guy, this should be your mindset. And a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh says, "You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free." Because love is allowing. Love is freedom. You allow them to come and go as they please. Of course, like I said, with boundaries. It doesn't mean like, oh, we're in this relationship now, but she wants to date and blah, blah, blah with other guys. It's like, well, that's not what I stand for. And I'm not down for an open relationship. So if you're not down for monogamy, that's not for me. So I'm gonna find somebody else that's willing to have what I want. So what I'm saying is, you want similar goals and similar values so that you guys can understand each other. All right. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Okay, cool. Done. All right. Yeah, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And every time I hear, especially from the woman or the guy tells me, it's like, oh, this is what she said. And she says, oh, I'm too busy, or I'm not ready to be in a relationship, or things are moving too fast. That just tells me that as a guy, what you're saying and what you're doing, what you're pushing is that you're too focused on the relationship before it becomes her idea. And it's an instant turnoff for her. She doesn't like it. And the reason for that matter is because you're displaying, one, too much feminine behavior, too much feminine energy. There's no sexual polarity in that. Which is why you hear people in long-term relationships, especially, and when I say long-term, anything that's past like the 1 to 2 year mark. Okay? In long-term relationships, that when you hear like woman that wants to leave the guy and she's like, I just want to be friends. I just want, maybe things aren't working like that. And then I hear the guy agree like, oh yeah, I don't mind being friends. It's like, why would you ever agree to something that you don't really want to agree with? So my question to the guy was, I was like, why would you agree to being friends? He was like, well, at least she's still in my life. I was like, no, what you're really hoping for is that she changes her mind. So you're going to slide underneath the radar, but then now she's going to tell you that she's dating other guys. Or maybe maybe she will, maybe she won't. But what if she does? And then so now you're just going to be that guy in the back. It's like, well, I didn't sign up to be your friend. I signed up. Hello? Yeah. It's like,
I didn't sign up to be a friend. What something's going wrong. Hold on.
hello,
Testing.
hello. Okay.
Hello, hello. Okay. Testing. Okay, I think it's working now. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, well, number one, I didn't sign up to be your friend, where I signed up to be romantic partners with you. And if that's not something that you agree with, why would you ever agree to that? Because number one, you feel fearful. You're worried that if I say certain things, if I do certain things, she might leave. And that's not the right approach. It's like, well, if that's not what she wants, that's fine. Then you pull away and you back away. But there's a way to do it. So yeah, too much feminine energy. You don't want that. And never agree with something that you never want to agree with, okay? Even if it means that you lose her forever. Even if it means that, because that's how, and you have to understand that, because number one, it was her choice. And if it's her choice, that's fine. Just back away and let her think about it, right? And if she wants to come back, you could allow her to come back. But if she's the one that wants you to date her and court her and do everything again, it's like, well, I wasn't the one that left, and this isn't something that I signed up for. And at least I thought things were going well. And if you didn't communicate with me what was wrong, and then you just picked up and left, then there's a lack of communication. If there's a lack of communication, and if communication is one of your core values, you might really want to reconsider that type of relationship, because it's like, if it's going to happen again eventually. So, like I said before, no woman will ever leave a guy she's madly in love with and respects, okay? Women only dump men that lost attraction and no longer respect. So, guys, what's up, Turbo? Guys that says things like, oh, she's not yours, it's just your turn. In my personal opinion, all right? You don't have to agree with this. This is my personal opinion. What's the stream about? I give relationship advice. So guys who said things like, she's not yours, it's just your turn, my personal opinion, are weak little bitches. Because number one, they just blame women for their mistakes. They're just blaming women for their mistakes. It's like, well, where's your responsibility? Maybe you fucked up in a relationship. There could be a lot of things. But until you get into how you messed up. What if it happens in gay and lesbian relationships, any type of relationship. So, yeah, these are guys that complain, hold no personal responsibility, just blames women, right? Like, you don't know what you don't know. Maybe you got a thought and then you tried to turn a hoe into a housewife. Like, why would you want to do that? It's like, she was always constantly going out there getting attention from other men, and you failed to vet her properly. You didn't ask to see how she grew up with her family. What did she think about her dad? How was the mom's relationship with the dad? If there was a dad involved, like, all these things matter, because a woman that grew up in a household without a male figure, not necessarily like a biological dad, right? Like, biologically, you could be a male, but if the wife does not respect the guy, and she grew up seeing all these type of behaviors of being disrespectful to the dad, and then the dad explodes, gets mad, starts yelling and screaming. It's like, that's not a way to be a guy. That's not a way to display your masculine energy. And for Turbo, you have to understand that this happens in all relationships, gay, lesbian, heterosexual, because what makes a relationship works are things in common. But what makes a relationship passionate are things that are different in energy. There needs to be a masculine and there needs to be a feminine energy. And so if the guy, usually it's the guy, if he's not masculine enough she's going to tap into the masculine to fill the void of what's missing in the relationship. But that's not exactly where she wants to be at. She wants to be feminine. She wants to be led by a leader. And if you're a leader, you're supposedly a leader in a relationship, but you're no longer leading anymore, and she's picking up your slack, she's not going to feel very comfortable. Imagine you're a girl in a relationship, and you're a feminine woman, and you're the one planning all the dates, planning everything. Let's do this, let's do that, because he doesn't do it. And he just kind of goes with it, goes for the ride. And it's like, he's not going to want to do it. She's going to be upset because that's not her natural essence. And because that is not her natural essence, what's going to happen is she's going to be, quote unquote, this bitch. And so when she's bitchy about it, guess what's going to happen with the guy? The guy's going to be like, why are you being a bitch? And so when you're saying things like that, you're conveying to her that you don't understand her. You don't understand women. You don't understand. And when a woman doesn't feel heard and understood, the legs close. And not only does it close, it's gonna be her mind is gonna be somewhere else. And then, so two biggest reasons why any type of relationship will break apart or have a divorce is, number one, she doesn't feel heard and understood, and you stop dating and courting her. And then when you stop dating and courting your woman, what's gonna happen is eventually another man will, or eventually, if you're in a gay lesbian relationship, eventually another person will court and date your partner. So yeah, going back to this whole thing about how, she's not yours, it's just your turn. It's like, yeah, you weak little bitches, because you're just blaming women about all these things. You don't know if she's a thought. She tried to turn a hoe into a housewife. And somewhere along the line, maybe you stop becoming a guy that led the relationship. Maybe you stop becoming that guy that dates her, that courts her, that listens to her, that understands her. When she does things like, oh my God, that's true, gotta fight for what we have. Yeah. And there's a fine line between fighting for what you have, right? It's like, you want to understand. You want a partner that's going to listen to you, that understands you. So when she says things like, you always do this and you always do that, what she's conveying to me is that it's not that I don't always take her out. I never take her out to dinners, or I always say this. It's just how she feels at the moment. It's reminding me of what I did in the past. And so it is my duty as a guy. I want to be better. That's me. It's just like, okay, so babe, what you're telling me is that I'm when she says, here's an example, you never take me out on dates. Me as a guy, I'm going to take a step back, especially if I'm not like pissed off or in off-centered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to understand that she just wants to spend more time with me. So I'm going to, you're right. Let's do a date. As long as it sounds reasonable, right? It's like, now she's like, oh, you never buy me bags. It's like, okay, like, is this relationship built on material things? But if she's like, oh, you never take me out to dinner, and you're like, well, I literally just fucking took her out like 2 to 3 weeks ago to this fancy restaurant. But you don't bring that up. You be like, you know what? We haven't been on a date in a while. Let me go home, or let's go home, and I'll figure something out. All right, we'll figure something out. And then you do it. You're a man of action. That's what it is. And when you are a man of action, you say what you mean what you say. You have to really listen. Yeah. Because like I said, if she doesn't feel heard or understood, the legs close. But when she does, the legs open. And so how you know if you're doing things right in a relationship is she will want sex more than you as a dude. She will want you more than you want her. More than you can even handle, okay? Think about the beginning of the relationship. The beginning of the relationship, you guys might even be doing it 2-3 times a day. And then out of nowhere, it just becomes once a week, maybe even once a month. And so, you want to make sure that she feels heard, she feels understood, that you communicate well. It's not just, oh my God, she's pretty, I want to be with her. But it's more like, well, is this person, because there's beauty everywhere. There's this beautiful woman everywhere. What you're really trying to look for is someone with similar goals and similar values. So you have to understand what you want as a person. Like, well, me as a guy, what I want in a relationship is I want loyalty. Number one most important thing to any guy, to most men, is loyalty. Was she loyal? Check. Needs to be there, right? Number two, is she faithful? Meaning, if we have an argument, is she going to talk to another guy because she's pissed off at me? Because she doesn't, Mitchell doesn't understand me, so I'm going to get attention from other dudes? Or is she going to talk to me about it, communicate? Which leads me to my third, which is communication. Communication needs to be there. Hey, babe, I understand that you're upset, and I understand that you're mad at me, but I need to know why you're mad at me, because then that's how I could fix it. And when you say that, it means that you're a guy that's going to fix certain things. And I understand that you don't want to talk to me right now, and that's fine. But we have to be able to talk about certain things. Because if I upset you and I didn't know what I did wrong, how can I fix things? I don't want to be that guy that always plays this whole guessing thing, like, oh. And what you're also looking for is you don't want to be with a guy that's, or as a guy, you don't want to be with a girl that gives you the silent treatment, that punishes you so that she feels like, oh, you had enough punishing or punishment, and finally it's like, okay, Mitchell had enough, and now what I could do is we could just pretend nothing happened. It's like, no, absolutely not. All this, absolutely not. This is not what I stand for. This is not a relationship. This is not the relationship that I signed up for, right? Yeah, brother, I feel that. It's been 7 years now. I got to keep to make sure I'm doing my part and more. Absolutely. It's like you have to, Turbo, if you don't mind me asking, what type of relationship are you in? And what gender are you? All guys should be like that. Yes, all guys should. The fact is, not a lot of men are, right? That's long-term gay male. And when you're in this gay relationship, who's more of the masculine and who's more of like the feminine? Who takes the lead in the relationship? Are you proud of your guy? Because there's a masculine and there's a feminine. And here's it. I hear a lot of issues in gay and lesbian relationships, and when I say this, it's because it's important to understand what is your natural essence. If you're in this relationship and you're more of the masculine of the relationship, but then you vacillate between being feminine, I'm more the guyish, but he takes care of like the bills, I pay, he just better at all that. Okay, let me read that again. I'm more of the guy, but he takes care of the bills and stuff like that. More of the guy takes care of the bill. So if you look at what masculine energy is overcoming challenges, breaking through barriers, taking risks, being the leader of the relationship, which also means that you're protecting, right? You're the protector. And there's nothing wrong with having a financial stability as a partner that knows how to do things better. But as a guy, or as a more of a masculine energy, you're not only the protector, you're also the provider. So somewhere along the line, you have to be able to pick yourself up financially to be able to, number one, take care of your own part. Because eventually your partner doesn't always want to be the one that picks up your slack, especially if you're telling me you're more of this guyish, so which also tells me that you're more of the masculine. And what ends up happening is when you vacillate between going masculine and feminine, it's going to ruin the sexual polarity that you guys have, especially in long-term relationships like a 7-year relationship. You want to be able to have that. And also you have to understand that, dude, this is making a lot of sense. Thank you. You're welcome. And because of that, it ruins the sexual polarity, right? And when it ruins the sexual polarity, guess what's going to happen? Sex is going to be off the table. You're going to be living together, but you're more like roommates. And then you hear people say like, oh my God, you need to do 50-50. Everything should be 50-50. It's like, absolutely not. If your partner is more feminine, it is always, always better that your partner initiates things with you 70 to 80% of the time. You, as a more masculine person, needs to be more focused on your purpose, your mission, because those are things that are important to you. So no matter where you are in life, you're going to be focused on that. I could put you anywhere on the earth and you're going to be focused on that. But when your partner comes back and starts talking to you, guess what happens? You're not going to be an asshole about it. You're going to be like, yeah, what's going on? So you're there to listen. You're there to listen. You're there to understand. And if you're not sure when your partner is talking to you, what you can say is things like, well, do you want me to listen or do you want me to put in my opinion? Would you like my opinion? That's happening to us right now. I'm going to focus up on listening. Yeah. And a good tip on listening is when you're listening, you want to respond with questions, because when you respond with questions, you're showing your partner that you're listening to them. And when you're listening, put your phone away, meaning turn that shit off. So like, I have a phone right here, right? If my partner is talking to me and it's something that's super important and I want zero interruption, I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this and turn it off, right? And you just do this and you just slide it and turn it off. Because what you're conveying is, look, you're the most important person. You're the most important thing in my life. And I want you to feel appreciated because your time, right? So let's see, you said, Tracy, my partner is 50-50. And I'm always the one to ask to do things together. He rarely asks me to go out and do things. It's always me asking. So what that's telling me, Tracy, is that, because I already know you, right? You're a woman, you're more feminine. He is not being a leader. You are not. And the reason why you're telling me this isn't because everything's going good and dandy for you, Tracy. It's because you want him to start leading. He's supposed to be the guy in the relationship, the more masculine energy in the relationship, and he's not stepping up to that plate, which is causing you to fill in that void, because life fills voids, right? Whatever you're missing, this is what you're going to do. I think I'm going to get started on a nice breakfast and coffee, man. Hope you have a great day. Thank you. Of course, absolutely. Come back anytime. I do YouTube lives every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, all right? Yep, that's correct. So now in that sense, it's like, well, it's like life fills voids. And so when you're filling a void of that, but that's not exactly what you want to do. You want to be a woman. You want to be pretty. You want to be led. You want to be like, hey babe, let's go out to eat at your favorite restaurant. Which one? Oh, if you don't know what your favorite restaurant, shoot, how will I know? But we're going there. And it's like, wow, that's fun. It's playful. And it's like, well, you're in for the mystery. You're in for the ride. You're in for the surprise. It's like, what's going on, right? Or he could just be straight up with you. Like, we're going to X, Y, and Z restaurant, your favorite restaurant. And I already made the reservations, things like that, right? And, love is playful and fun. And so couples that play together, stay together. And if you have these philosophy of like, look, you must love in such a way that the other person that the person you love feels free, and you give them the freedom. But when they come to you, you're listening, you're attentive, you give your undivided attention. It's like all that. When you could provide all that, why would that person ever want to leave someone great like you? And if they do, and let's just say their character is, I don't know, I'm just making it off the top of my head. If their character, they're low character people that lies, cheats, and they lose someone great like you, well, guess what? They're going to regret it for the rest of their life. And it's not like you want to make them regret it. It's who they are. That's what they signed up to do. And if they decide to not ever change that, if they ever decide that, hey, you know what, I don't need to do anything for myself, because most people, especially when they're single, they don't think about working on themselves. They only think about, oh, how can I find the next person because that person didn't work out. They're trying to find a replacement. And so when all those things happen and you never work on yourself, you don't understand what are your core values in a relationship. You don't know how to solve problems together. All you do is bitch and complain. You're no longer the masculine energy anymore. You're complaining, you're yelling, you're screaming, you're arguing. All that you're conveying as this quote unquote masculine energy is that you don't understand your girl or your woman or your wife. And so when all those things kind of fall apart, it's like, well, then you're left scratching your head like, where did I go wrong? I didn't do anything. It was her. And then you hear people say things like, she's not yours. It's just your turn. It's like, well, you have a play in this relationship. You have a play in it too. So somewhere along the line, maybe she is a hoe. We didn't know that. But say she is. Maybe she's a hoe. But what could you have done better in the relationship? Have you asked that? Have you asked that about yourself? Because unless your life is, I want to live and I never want to be married again and I never want to be in a relationship, I just want to, mess around. By all means, that's you, that's your life, that's how you want to live. Just don't drag other people along with it. That at least know your agenda too. It's like, let them know. If they don't want to be a part of that, absolutely, that's fine. If you're a guy and you just want to have fun, hey, look, I'm not really looking into a relationship right now. I'm just looking to, have some fun, right? And if she understands that and she's okay with that, hey, maybe you guys could be friends with benefits. Maybe you guys could just be friends. Hey, look, I'm only here looking for friends. I'm not really looking for relationships. So if you're looking for something a little bit more than that, I'm just letting you know that's not something that I'm really looking for. And that's it. At least you're not wasting each other's time. So anyways, that was a very, very long derail of what I was talking about. But let's see. Yeah. Women only fall in love with men. Let me read that again. Always remember that women fall in love slowly. Okay? Always remember that women fall in love slowly over time. This also means that it takes time for her to fall out of love with you. So re-attracting her will also take time as well. So if you made a mistake as a guy and she no longer feels the same way about you, and just understand a woman's emotion does not carry over like minutes, okay? What she meant on Saturday, May 18th at 1 p.m. Pacific time, when she says, I love you, it does not carry over to the next day, the next week. Oh, she told me she loved me on the 18th. Like, no, that shit does not count, okay? Feelings are very present. This very live, okay? It only means what it means at that moment. So that being said, it takes time for her to fall in love. It takes time to fall out of love. And so it's going to take some time. If you made mistakes and you pushed her away, maybe you over pursued, maybe you were the one that constantly smothered her, or maybe you were the person that every time she tries to bring up a problem in front of you, you start arguing and you start screaming, and it's like, that's like, no, you're a part of the issue too. It's trying to live together in peace, right? Because masculine energy is cool, calm, and collected. You're not yelling, you're not screaming, you're also understanding. But if it's not something that you agree with, you don't have to be in that relationship. It's just like, well, it's not what I'm looking for. I might have made a mistake. I get it. We might have been together for 5 years. But at the end of it, it's like, well, this is, maybe we grew apart. But all that is dealt with communication. And it is always slow. It is always best for you as a guy to go slightly slower than she does. Because what you see is men who go for that goes on the first dates and things like that, they enjoy it so well. It's like, well, when's the next time I can see you? It's like, That's why put added pressure on her. It's like, if I went on a date and I liked the date and I'm like, yeah, I had a great time. Like, Mitchell had a great time. When's the next time I could see you? It shows, it's like, what if she doesn't want to see you? What if you had a great time, but she didn't? So you want to eliminate all these unnecessary things that could be obstacles for you in the long run, right? And so with that being said, that is today's show of Men Who Tries to Speed Up Courtship Ruins Seduction. I'm going to be talking about the summary, which is number 1 is the approach. It is the man's job to approach. It shows that you have confidence. It shows that you're willing to take risks. It shows that you have courage, that you go for what you want. If you focus on locking her down before it becomes her idea, she feels like she will lose her freedom. And no girl or no woman, no lady will ever want to feel like she lost her freedom. No man either, okay? But most men fall in love on first sight. It's like, oh my God, I don't care if she got a lisp, she can't speak English, I love her. It's like, no, you don't. You just love how she looks. I get it. She's pretty, okay? But take a step back. Haste makes waste. Slide number 2. The whole idea is to go slightly slower than she is. Attraction grows through space. You want to create the condition of enough time, enough space, enough distance for her to slowly fall in love with you at her pace. That way, it will always be her idea. You're welcome, Tracy. Slide number 3 is no breakup is mutual. It's usually one-sided. And I want to put a quick little input on that. It's like, when I ask people, it's like, oh, we both agreed on this breakup. It's like, no, someone initiated it. Who was it? It's like, oh, she did. And it's like, okay, now it's completely different. Okay, so what's your question? It's like, well, I want to get her back. It's like, okay, I get that you want to get her back, but like I said, it's like that mindset is completely. It should not be your mindset. The mindset is, how do I get back to being my most attractive self? Whether it's working out, reading books, educating myself, staying focused on my mission and purpose. Like those things, if you just did that and you're not bitter about the breakup, she's going to wonder like, damn, did I make a mistake? Like, this guy is doing really well, and now I'm going on to all these Bumble, Tinder dates, and all these dudes, all they want to do is smash, you know? And I had this dude, and now he's constantly working on himself. And then and then you respond back to him, and you go and try to talk to him, and he's like, well, it sounds like he doesn't even want me anymore. It's not that he's pushing you away. It's like, well, what you're going to do is, because you're the woman that initiated the breakup, what you have to do is you have to come over to my house. We have to cook dinner. I'm not cooking dinner. We could spend some time. We could make dinner together. Open a bottle of wine if you drink. If not, maybe tea or water. I don't know what you guys like drinking. Kombucha. And when a woman comes to your house and makes dinner, okay? Sex is pretty much on the table. You're not making dinner for her. And also, she has to be, because she's the one that she's the one that initiated the breakup. She has to come 100% of the time. And she has to do it at least 3 times. At least 3 times to show that, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. I want to get back with you. And if she does that enough, then after 3 times of coming to your house and you hung out and you hooked up, then you can finally be like, hey, you know what? Let's go out to eat. And you start initiating that as the guy. Now, if you're the one that broke up with her and you fucked up, these are different scenarios. You understand what I'm saying? It's just, you want to put your position of leverage, not just for yourself, but have some self-respect for yourself. That's what the mindset really is. So anyways, no breakup is mutual. Mindset needs to be, I'm open for her to convince me to go back with her, to get back with her, but I'm not going to be the guy that courts her and dates her anymore, because women don't dump men they're in love with and respect. Okay. Slide number 4 was your mindset. And the quote was by Thich Nhat Hanh of, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. Because women fall in love slowly over time. It's going to take her some time to fall back in love with you. So Anyways, that being said, appreciate your time. Excuse me. Oh, damn. And I'll catch you guys in the next live. All right. Next Saturday. Peace.